As we move forward here, you're into something that we talk about called shared responsibilities. Now, anyway, I like the or your example of dishes because now we're talking shared responsibility. When you consider envisioning your home or chores or financial commitment, how do you see that as shared responsibility? What's your vision on that?
I think shared responsibility is exactly what it is. Like, it is a shared thing. I truly believe that, like if I was in me and my partner were in a living situation, I wouldn't put it on her to do all of the cooking, right? I feel like, 7 days in a week, maybe she's cooking 3 of them or 4 of them, and I'm cooking 2 of them, and then maybe one of those days we're going out to eat, right? So there's that compromise in there.
So you can cook?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not going to sit here and say I'm a chef, but I know how to survive. I take care of me very well.
Okay. All right.
I'll leave it like that. I got a few meals under my belt. That's about it.
All right.
No, so I just feel like, if she can cook, I don't want that to be on her all the time. Now, there are some things that I just don't think she should be doing, like trash, that's me. Like, I'll take the trash out,
Oh, yeah.
Laundry, I'm also capable of doing laundry. So, I grew up with chores, and I like to tell women I'm domesticated. That's the way I use it. Because as a single man, I am cleaning my own house right now.
Okay.
I am folding my own clothes. I am cooking my own meals. So it's not that when I move in with a woman or we move in together that I don't have to do those things anymore. No, I'll still keep the upkeep of the house going.
So she won't be your maid.
No,
okay.
She don't have to. Because in most situations, women are working too. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want my woman to feel like she has to go to work and then come home and go back to work again. I would want to be able to make sure that, I'm making her life easy too, just like I would hope she's making mine easy.
You're talking with other young men. You got friends about your age as well. Okay. Do you all have these kind of conversations?
We do. I have some friends who are married, and I have some friends who aren't. And it's solid that we can have that conversation. Some of my friends have children already, they have families, and some don't. So it's a good experience to be able to hear perspective from multiple different men, right? Across the spectrum of, like I said, married with kids, married without kids, first marriage, second marriage, things of that nature. So you're able to hear, perspectives of maybe where they went wrong or maybe where they were a little bit arrogant, and then all of them, I feel like, talk about that moment where they kind of changed, right?
Yeah.
Where, they had to start considering the fact that, it's not just about me anymore,
Yeah. I'm thinking when you said that, my mind goes to the limbic system, which does not even develop until a person about 25 years old, that they finally get breaks in life to say, whoa, what's going on? But by that time, you could have almost ruined your life. And as we are talking today, how do you talk to young men or help them understand, guys, this is going to hurt you later on? You ever had that conversation with young guys?
Yeah, so working at Methodist University, I interact with a lot of the young males on a regular basis.
Okay.
And the one thing that I feel like I want to be consistent with as I interact with them is just growing up, like stepping into manhood. And I always try to tell them that college is that space where you get to learn and make those mistakes. The first K through 12, you grow up with your parents and hopefully they're instilling those things into you. But then once you go to college, it's like you're on your own, and now you have to figure out, can I wake myself up? Can I take myself to class? Can I feed myself? Can I work out, right? You get to test everything that your parents have, hopefully been instilling in you as an individual.
Good.
So for some of my students, they do struggle with that, right? They do struggle with that independence or having autonomy. But at the end of the day, my interaction with them is to try to be a consistent role model through action and through talking, right? So, I try to show them better than I can tell them. Just being a man on the job, consistently at work, consistently doing my job, not to just like a basic level, but to a high level, right? To where people across campus know that, okay, TJ is going to be at Campus Rec. He's going to run a great intramural program. TJ is going to be in class this week. He's going to teach our students. students and he's going to give out good grades, and he's, you know, so
Yeah.
they know that the type of work ethic that I have. And that's one thing that I want to translate to young men is, you know, that work ethic doesn't just stop and start with athletics. It's in the classroom. It's with your family dynamic. It's with your girlfriend or your boyfriend, whoever you may be dealing with. So my thing with all of them is just to just grow up. You know, start thinking about things in a more of an adult approach, because before you know it, these 4 years are up, and then you're graduating, and now you're in the real world, and oftentimes some of them are lost. You know, so some of my students, they've graduated, but they'll reach back out and still, you know, let a recommendation. They want some advice about this. They want some. So I take pride in knowing that those students have begun to trust me, to the fact of, like, even after they leave the school, that they feel like they can still call me and reach out, and, you know, I'm giving valid advice.
So when did it hit you that other people are watching me and I really have to step it to the next level? Or did it ever hit you?
I would say even in high school, just growing up in the church, I used to be over the children's ministry. So I used to do Sunday school with the youth and things like that. So I knew even in high school that there was a younger demographic that was paying attention to me. So showing up to church and being able to show my report card with them when they're doing theirs and my grades are up, right? Showing them that I can juggle being a student athlete while doing the same thing, while having a job, you know, and I would bring my girlfriends to church. So, like, they would see just how I carried myself and what I was doing, where my morals lied and things like that. So I would say even from that moment, high school, going into college, and then you work these basketball camps. So there's these little kids that's looking up to you as a college athlete, right? And it's still the same story. I'm in college now. My grades are up. You know, I'm playing basketball, and I'm just, you know, being a good representation in my community, for student athletes, for young men, for black men, things like that.
Let me ask you this concerning entertainment, the entertainment, quote, world, the social media, the movies, whatever is out there. How do you see that affecting the male population, or do you see any effect?
It is. I think there is definitely an effect, because it's been proven that what we see and what we hear has an impact on us. And I feel like in this current state, they are flooding us with what they want us to see and hear and feel. So even in the music, you can tell what music gets pushed to our youth and things like that, right? So if you want to find some conscious rap, you have to go look for it. That's not what's being put on TV. That's not what's being put on the radio, right? So you have to go find those things. And I feel like it is an effort to, like, you know, tear down some of our young men in the community to not see that there is an alternative lifestyle than just being flashy or just, you know, being a rapper and things like that. There's so many people who just think there's one pathway to success, right? So, you know, it is in what we see and what we hear, but I think that's why something like this podcast is useful as well, because you get to see two men of two different generations interacting and having a conscious conversation about just how we can be better. Right. So again, this is something that people would have to go seek out. But when they seek it out and they find it, I think that it would have a meaningful impact. So the same way that they're projecting these different things across different airways, I feel like they could put something like this out there and see how it would change the dynamic of our youth and things like that as well.
We are, my generation, I can tell you, when I came up, a young man, there were three stations on TV you could watch if you had the right kind of antenna, just three. And it went off at 10 o'clock, and there was snow on the television. You had to wait till 6 o'clock the next morning to get 30 minutes of news or whatever. And so our activities were limited to sports until the sun went down, or conversating. We really had to talk. There was nothing to text. It didn't exist. I'm seeing that as possibly a great challenge, because when I tell people, ask these questions, like we say on our website, when you're dating somebody, ask these questions. But I'm finding that communicating is a real hard thing, difficult for them to do. So How do you get through? How did you get through? You seem to be a great communicator.
I was gonna say, I think I am of like one of the last generations to communicate, because even something we notice now is like COVID changed a lot, especially with the generation that's coming up now. Was a lot of their communication was on the internet.
Yeah.
Through the computer, through DMs and things like that. So sometimes people don't know how to have that interpersonal interaction. So I just really think that it is a part of just practicing, you know. So one thing that we encourage our students to do is like, don't just stay in your room. Like, come out, go to programming, go to some of the games, go to different events on campus, and just interact and mingle, right? So I think it's as simple as, it's a practice behavior, but you have to be, you can't be shy about it. I feel like that's one thing also. Like, you have to just put yourself in position or in environments where people are socializing, where people are engaging and just communicating, and then go from there, right? So a lot of people nowadays have that anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety behind communicating and meeting new people and just simply talking, sitting down and having a conversation with somebody. So it does take breaking the ice and making somebody feel comfortable. But I think once that happens, once somebody feels like, oh, okay, it's not that bad, then you get to continue doing it, and it goes from there.